In the United States, 60 to 80% of sudden cardiac arrest victims die before reaching the hospital. Out of the 356,000 people each year who experience sudden cardiac arrest in our country, I want to look at what is it that will increase the likelihood that CPR will be performed on victims outside of the hospital setting. So I took a look at the literature review of the things that are in existence, the programs that are in existence for training, which many of us have probably experienced, and want to identify which components precisely increase confidence levels of people delivering CPR in out-of-hospital settings. I've encountered some significant issues with technology and formatting in this presentation. So just to make sure that I've satisfied each component, I've actually included additional slides besides this first poster, just so it's clear for everyone to understand. One incredibly interesting study that I found was a video self-instruction course. 60 to 80% of sudden cardiac arrest victims die before reaching the hospital. They had to watch a 24-hour, a 24-minute video of a layperson CPR course. They had a mannequin kit, and they had to take their mannequin home and teach the skills that they learned from the video to a parent. This was a very widespread program, and it involved a large sample size, but what was found that it didn't increase the rate of CPR being performed on those out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrest victims. One component that researchers can agree upon on this topic is that over time, there have been improved outcomes. Over 141 studies have documented that survival rates from out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrest has improved over time, especially when CPR was initiated by bystanders. So what is it that we're going to do to increase confidence so that these bystanders actually increase their rates of performing CPR when necessary? An ineffective approach that was identified was video only, where school children are taught or shown videos on how to effectively perform high quality CPR. But when no feedback mannequins are provided and they don't have that hands-on experience, it seems to decrease the likelihood that they are going to perform CPR when necessary. What are some things that are working? In 2023, there was a large meta-analysis that found that hands-on methods slightly improved performance, but highlighted the need for standardization. So in our state of Pennsylvania, I'm aware that school code calls for it's required for high school students to be exposed to CPR training. They don't need to be certified, and school districts can identify their own programming. So I do know that our school district uses a company called Health and Safety Institute, and a lot of school districts use American Heart Association, which we have used in the past, and the American Red Cross. And it seems like there are better rates for those schools who are using those standardized programs that have been tried and tested. In 2007, we're going to take a step back in time. The American Airlines study found that when they shortened the length of their courses, but also provided hands-on training, so that seemed to increase their rates of bystander CPR being performed by employees on people who were associated with American Airlines. The methodology portion of this project is the most recent. Looking at the participants in our sample, I want the largest number of participants possible. So these are lay people, so not healthcare professionals. So people who may come to get a certification class either at community centers, workplaces, schools, and social organizations. As I was writing this particular section, this is where I spoke with my committee members quite a few times because I actually considered changing a little bit of the direction of my study. You see, most of the courses that I teach today involve blended learning instead of the traditional in-class instructional piece and testing. Ideally, I want to see if there's a difference between a blended learning course and a 100% in-person course. Both of those courses incorporate hands-on CPR, which everybody seems to agree that that hands-on experience, at least by qualitative informal study, that's the feedback that I get, that that hands-on practice with the mannequins is incredibly important. So I want to identify, is there a difference in comfort level between students who watch the blended learning portion on their own individually and then come to the lab to do the hands-on training, and then the other group, which would be the group that gets all of their instruction in person. And that in-person instruction is followed by the hands-on mannequin practice. So the videos, the content is identical, just in the only difference is how it is delivered. So then the hands-on portions are similar as well, with the same types of mannequins and same kinds of equipment. The concern that I encountered as I was putting together this section is realizing that I want to make sure the groups are as diverse as possible. And what I'm finding is that most of the groups that I'm having, and it essentially comes down to cost. Oftentimes the blended learning portion is a little bit more expensive, but many of the groups that I certify today, most of them do the blended learning option. The group that doesn't is the group that would be school students. So schools aren't paying the extra money to do the blending learning because they're having their teachers perform the instruction. It's just a more cost-effective method for them to use. Whereas daycares and a lot of those other workplaces that I work with, it's a little bit more time efficient for them. So their employees might be able to do it, watch their videos at an allotted time where they can all come together at one particular time to have all of the instruction in person followed by the practice. So as I began to have these concerns, I contacted my my committee chair, and I talked with her about the fact that, at the beginning, when I first met with her and I had a certain idea, we totally changed the course of my research because she was talking about this is a project that we want to get done, so we want to make sure that you have ample population. So I was thinking, well, if I'm not going to get the number of people that I need, then maybe I need to like rearrange some things. But ultimately, through questioning back and forth and through some emails, I elected to stay the course. Having said all that, I'm going to be comparing two groups. Group A will have blended learning followed by the in-person skills session. Group B will have all in-person instruction followed by the in-person skills section. Both groups will have the identical instrument that will be delivered pre-test and pro-test. It will be the Likert style 5-point pre and post test written survey that will be administered. Questions will ask students to identify the portion of the class that increased their confidence. They're also going to identify their confidence level of performing CPR prior to the class and after the class. So wanting to know when they're walking out after they certify, after they've done the in-person portion with the feedback mannequins, are they more likely to act and deliver CPR in a cardiac arrest or heart attack situation? The section that I'm ironing out with my committee is the appropriate test to be done on this quantitative data, and I believe that it's going to be the independent t-test for each survey question, and that is what I need to be working on and identifying to be sure. Please note my references and my apologies that they aren't in the pretty single page format, which is at the beginning of the presentation.